Do you struggle in the pool? Every time you get in, it feels like the water's pushing against you. You're fighting to get down to the end of the lap. You're exhausted by the time you get there. In today's video, we're going to talk about how you can connect with the water, how you can become fluid in the water. Welcome to Between the Laps. My name is Coach Chris, and for those who don't know me, I am a 20-year competitive swimming veteran. I've swam at the national level and the international level. I have also spent the last 20 years coaching swimmers of all age groups and all styles, whether you're a triathlete or somebody who's aspiring to go to the Olympics, or maybe you're just starting out and young kids. I've been working with swimmers of various levels for the last 20 years. So combined, I have a lot of years experience. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can connect with the water. This is a huge struggle for a lot of swimmers. They feel like every time they take a pull or every time they're kicking, they're constantly battling the flow of the water. And it makes sense. Water is 600 times more dense than the air around us. So this makes a perfect sense to why it would be a little bit more of a struggle. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's one simple technique that I use with my swimmers on a regular basis to help build that connection. This simple technique is simply called sculling. Sculling is just the act of making small movements in the water to get a feel for the way that the water moves and how your body moves inside the pool. So what is sculling? Sculling is just the small motion that we use with our arms and at best our forearms to help guide us throughout our swimming. So one example of sculling, there's 3 different ways you can scull. And number 1 is to have your arms straight out in front of you. And you're just going to make small back and forth motions like this. So you notice that when I'm sculling, my arms are barely moving. It's mostly my hands, right? We're just turning our wrists out and in, out and in. And all you're doing is you're going to move the water back and forth, sort of a figure 8 type of situation with your hands. And when you're doing this, you will probably want to either use a pull buoy between your legs to help add buoyancy, or at least have a slight kick in your legs to help try to keep your lower body up in our proper body position. You may also want to try to use a snorkel. I strongly suggest a front snorkel for this. That way you can kind of keep your head down in the right position. You have your nice alignment, and all you're doing is head out, or head in, and you're just sculling back and forth, back and forth. Do this for a couple laps, and you will find that you're really able to grab the water. You're getting a better sense of how to manipulate that water into that pull. It's that entry point. As soon as we enter the water, we want those fingers grabbing that water, then our forearm, and the rest pull all the way through. We want that powerful pull. And it starts by making that connection. Another way to do sculling is a little bit lower in our body. So instead of being out here, we want to basically use window wipers like this. And this is just going to be your forearms and your hands going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This one's a little bit harder, but it's great for working on breaststroke, getting that idea of coming in here, grabbing the water and pulling and throwing your body forward. That's a great timing to do your sculling there. You're grabbing this water. Basically, you're doing this sort of pull to come up and release. Our first one is great for butterfly. It is great for a breaststroke at the end of our stroke. As you come in, you get ready for that next stroke. It's also great for freestyle. Final one is to go right down by your hips. Obviously, this is a lot harder to show on camera, but it's just a small flick. You're basically just going to use your triceps and you're just going flick, flick, flick. And it can be quite hard right through here, but you want to finish that stroke. When you think about it, when we're doing our full stroke freestyle, we're not finishing our stroke here. We want to come all the way back. Release that water. Shoot it back behind you. I always used to challenge swimmers on the ability to get me wet at the end of the pool. As they swim away from me, I said, hey, finish your stroke. I want you to finish. I want you to flick that water so hard that you're going to get me wet on the pool deck. When you're working with 8 to 10-year-olds, this is a glorious challenge. They love trying to do this. Get your coach wet? Absolutely. They love that. It's great. It's great to work on that piece. But it's also the slowest. So when you're doing this sculling, just back here, and you're just getting that flick, that little flick right there, it's going to be very, very slow. So I strongly suggest in that case, you either kick a little bit, or if you need that little bit of extra assistance, put on a pair of fins and work with the fins as you're doing that little motion. You want to do it with both hands together instead of independently. You want to make sure that you're being consistent with that. And that's the same with all these sculling drills. We're just going to be here, and our both arms and hands are going to do the exact same thing. Here, exact same thing. So what if you want to work on backstroke? Well, it's not really any different. You're just going to lay on your back. One of the best ways to do this is actually to go toes first. So instead of doing our normal backstroke, like we would, and our head is sort of leading the way to the end of the pool, we're actually going to have our toes leading us down the length of the pool. So in this way, we're going to have our arms above our head, like this. I'm going to duck down a little bit, and you're just going to go small like this. You may find that your upper body kind of sinks a little bit like this. If you can, try to hold your breath and try to accomplish the entire lap. Keep your toes pointed. This is a lot harder. Obviously, you can't kick with this one. You have to actually just use your hands. But you want to keep yourself afloat. You want to try to keep that position, that nice position, as much as you possibly can. And you just want to have the arms above your head. As well, you can do the one down by your hips at the same time. That one, you do want to go head first. But backstroke sculling is certainly not as efficient as working on the front. So if you are going to work on your sculling, I would strongly suggest using your front body position and doing either one of the three that we initially talked about. So having our arms out here, like this, here, window washers, or down by your hips. Those will help build that connection with the water. You'll help get a better flow. That way, when you put it all together in here, you've gotten all the different aspects of your stroke that you've sort of learned how to manipulate the water with. And you'll have a much more efficient pull, which means that you won't be fighting the water. You'll be feeling the water. You'll get that flow of the water, and you'll just cut through it. That way, when you finish that lap, you're not going to be exhausted because you didn't have to work as hard. You probably went faster but expended far less energy. This is probably one of the greatest and easiest ways to improve your swimming. One of the final pieces is you don't have to do a lot of this. If you did, say, 8 25s during each one of your workouts, or as I do, I use it as part of my warm down. As I start to warm down, I let my strokes go from a full stroke to drills to just sculling. And that not only decreases my heart rate, flushes out any lactic acid, but it also gives me that opportunity to feel the water. Maybe you want it a little bit earlier on. Do it during your warm-up. Start off your first couple laps, just gain that feel for the water. How does it feel today? How's your body feel in the water? But you don't have to do a lot of this. You can do a couple laps, like no more than 825s. Take a break at the end of each. You don't have to do 50s. You don't have to do a 400. You don't have to do a 1500. Just small, short intervals will help build that connection. This is our tip for today. If you enjoyed the content, please like this video below. And if you really enjoyed the content, please subscribe. It helps us get these videos out and work with the algorithms. We appreciate you being here. Until next time, have fun and keep swimming.